What's good, Red Pill Men? This is Jay Lee. Got another Northwest podcast for you today. I'm going to be going over some more red flags for modern women. This is not all encompassing. I've done other red pill videos. I think at least two other ones. So there might be some on the other list that I made that are left off on this one. Um, to my current understanding, one of them that I left off is she has bad parents. How she treats her parents, how she treats people, like waiters and stuff, her attitude and things like that. But that's kind of general. This is a little more. Anyway, I didn't talk about a lot of these on the other list. So um, let's get into it. So these are kind of an updated list, or kind of just more red flags in women that you want to look out for if you're dating modern women. And it is a minefield out there. It is, unfortunately, it's very difficult to find a good one. I mean, the Bible was not kidding when it said, it's very difficult to find a quality woman. If you read the Proverbs, I mean, it's right there. It's very, very difficult. King Solomon was the wisest man on earth, basically, at one point, or maybe the wisest man ever, who knows, which basically means he was very, very, knowledgeable, he was full of wisdom, and he realized that there was not many good women out there, and it's like, that really sucks for a lot of men. And then what we see in today's day and age is that there's a lot of men out here who are single, a lot of men out here who can't find a good woman, and men just suffer. There's a quote that I've always been drawn to. I can't remember who said it, but it said, "The mass of men the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation." And I think that's very true. Many men out here, who, particularly men who are single, and even men who are in relationships, even men who are in marriages with women who are just not that quality, women who are not that good. Um, these men are suffering. Um, so let's jump into this list and kind of just talk about it. And this is just red pill truth. There's nothing. This isn't attacking women. This isn't. Um, Negative in the sense that I'm hating or throwing shade or anything like that. This is just observation. This is what's out here. When you go out and you meet women, or you go on the dating sites, or you know, we live our life. There's women everywhere, right? And we are around them, and we know that this is how these women act. This is how their attitude is, right? So I would say, actually, one of them is the attitude, right? Is she cocky? Is she capricious? Is she arrogant? Right? That's one of them, right? So that's number two, right? Arrogance disguised as confidence, aka you go girl, yes queen, slay type, right? This is the modern woman who's very like, oh, a lot of it comes from this anti-male feminism, right? Oh, I'm against men, or I'm against anybody telling me what to do. So therefore, for some reason, I'm going to act with impetuousness. I'm going to be cocky and arrogant for some reason. Like who said you had to be like that to be a feminist, right? But they all act like that. Not everyone, but most of them, and it's like, one thing that I find attractive as a man in a woman is a woman who is feminine and quiet. I like quietness. To me, is attractive, because it's not that it's deceiving, or deceiving is not the right word. It's not that it's intriguing per se, but there's something about it that's just peaceful, right? It's not that it's enchanting. A lot of women mistake being quietness, or a lot of women mistake being oops a lot of women mistake being quiet with like subtlety, like um uh oh, I'm enchanting. Like, no, what a man wants actually is peace. Men are attracted to peace. So if there's a woman who's attractive and she's peaceful, that makes her a lot more attractive. Like, men are going to be attracted to women regardless, whether she's you know physically attractive. Men are going to be physically attracted to men regardless, whether she's arrogant or whether she's quiet and peaceful. We're going to be attracted to them physically, but that doesn't mean like it's not a turnoff for a woman to act arrogant, right? So yes, we're still attracted to them physically, but at the same time, if she's arrogant and she's cocky and she's like, she has a bad attitude and she's immature, it's a turnoff. Like, it's gross. Like you could be so much more attractive if you had a good attitude. You could be so much more attractive if you had maturity. You could be so much more attractive if you acted, peacefully. And a lot of women, what they do is they pretend to act peacefully and quiet and shy and reserved, when really they're acting subtle, they're acting manipulative, right? They're acting that way in order to get something. Like, oh, I'm going to pretend to be shy so that I can fool guys into thinking that I'm feminine and I'm reserved and I'm traditional, when really it's a ploy to get you to do whatever she wants at any given time. So there's so much subtlety, there's so much subterfuge going on, there's so much planning, manipulation in a lot of the shyness, if a girl is shy. But in today's day and age, what modern feminism, radical feminism, really is what it is, but a lot of it has become accelerated, particularly in the last 5-10 years. It's so accelerated, where women are just not even being subtle anymore. They're not even trying anymore. They're just, I'm arrogant, I'm brash, I'm boisterous, I'm ostentatious, here I am, and accept me or not, and in a way that's a good thing, because like, it lets us know, hey, oh yeah, this is what we need to avoid. This is, a modern woman, and I need to avoid that. So arrogance disguised as confidence, right? And it really is arrogance, because confidence is cool, calm, collected. Confidence is quiet. Confidence is quiet. I like that quote. Confidence is quiet. It really is. Arrogance is loud. Confidence is quiet. Arrogance is loud. So a lot of it is arrogance disguised as confidence. You got these modern women who think they're men. They're acting like men, and a lot of it's just arrogance, right? And they're out here, you go girl, being loud and da 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 da, and you're just like, no. And even if it's, yeah, they don't have to even be at the club. You can just tell about their personality. They just move, and it comes across as masculine. You might be like, oh, that's masculine. You might think it's masculine, but a lot of it is just arrogance. And for some reason, we, particularly in our modern society, we confuse arrogance with confidence. We confuse cockiness and arrogance with masculinity, and I think to some extent men are to blame for that as well, because there's a lot of you could use the word toxic masculinity out there, where it's arrogance, cockiness, and it's confused with confidence. It's confused with this kind of false bravado is confused with oh, this guy's got his stuff together. This guy knows what he's doing. This guy's confident. He knows the way. And that's not what a real quality confident man really is. So a lot of women are actually just projecting what they think a confident quality man is in themselves. They act like, oh, this is what it is, and this is how I got to act, and da da da, right? So that's a big one, and it kind of encompasses all of this. Like a lot of the modern radical feminist arrogant attitude in general is kind of like a cornerstone for all the rest of this stuff. Like, they get that attitude first or somewhere along the way, and then all this other negative stuff comes in, right? So you have to talk about that arrogance. You have to talk about that false, confident, really cocky, arrogant attitude before you talk about anything else. So the first one I put before the arrogance is promiscuity, right? That's just a big turnoff. Again, these are red flags. These are turnoffs. I'm actually going to say probably these are more turnoffs than red flags, but they're both. A turnoff and a red flag are one and the same. So these are turnoffs to me. Promiscuity. If she's promiscuous, it's a red flag. It's a turnoff. It's just no go, right? It's just nasty. There's so much that goes along with promiscuity. You know, there's so much manipulation, so much subterfuge, so many lies, so much cheating, so much grossness. You know, you got STDs attached to that, you got abortion attached to that, you got broken hearts attached to that, you have you know, lies attached to that. You know, I mean, how many lies does she have to tell? How much, you know, subtlety does she have to tell? Does she have an STD? How many abortions has she had? You know, is she, what kind of nasty stuff is she doing with these guys? It's like, it's gross. You know, I mean, we all know what it is. You know, from the standpoint of like, do you want to wife this woman, or do you want to have a relationship with this woman? From that standpoint, promiscuity is just the biggest killer. It's like, guys today, it grosses us out, and as it should. It makes sense to our male biology. If she's loose and promiscuous, she's probably not going to be a loyal woman to us, and she's not going to be a good mother to raise your kids. And that goes for guys too. Guys shouldn't be promiscuous as well. If there's a guy out there who's promiscuous, then he's probably not going to be a good dude. He's probably going to be a liar or a manipulator in some way, and he's probably not going to raise quality kids. You don't want to be an immoral person if you're going to be a father or a mother or a husband or a wife. It ruins things. It really does. And you could say that's a traditional Christian viewpoint or whatever you want, and I would say, yeah, it is, but it's good, you know. And I would say, yeah, it is part of that, but it's good because it's keeps things in it keeps things in check. It keeps cheating in check. It keeps lying in check. It keeps and really it's best for everyone. And a lot of this modern you know, pro-feminist, pro-promiscuity, oh, I'm pro body positivity, I'm loving myself by having indiscriminate random sex, like, it's just like, okay. I mean, I shouldn't say indiscriminate because that's kind of not true for women. I mean, women are very discriminate who they have sex with, sort of, right? But it's, yeah, they're weeding out the unattractive guys, the broke guys, the whatever, you know, that's hypergamy. So it's not really indiscriminate in that sense. But it's indiscriminate in the sense that, like, if he's hot, she doesn't care about anything. She probably won't even ask if he's been tested. She probably won't even ask if you know, you know, anything. Who knows? And a lot of these women out here are so weird that, like, they'll let a guy just ejaculate in them and they don't care because it's like, oh, I'll just have an abortion, or I'll just, you know, take Plan B or something. It's weird, and it's just like the energy and the immorality involved in that. So promiscuity and arrogance are the two biggest ones. They go hand in hand, right? And then the rest of these, like, you know, are like little small side notes that like come along with those two big ones, like dressing slutty in public. Actually a good thing because it's an obvious gigantic red flag and lets you know what to avoid. Like, if she's out there dressing slutty, she's probably, well, you know, what do you think, right? If it walks like a duck, it acts like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, right? So that's an obvious turn off. Like, it's just gross. Like, have some shame, have some I don't know if shame is the right word, have some class. Like, you want everybody and their kids to see you. You go out in public and you got your boobs out, or you got, you know, I've seen women go out in broad daylight to like the mall with like pants that showing half of their ass. It's weird. It's like, there's kids out there. Like, you know, like, what happened to normality? What happened to humanity? Like, you know, like, you just, and then they also have the arrogance to be like, oh, men only view me as an object. You know, you shouldn't look at me even though I'm putting myself on display as a sex object. It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's just it's a sign of the end times, really. Sign of the end times. She's a feminist, right? You know, and obviously if she's dressing slutty in public, you just, yeah, that's not wifey material. That's not girlfriend material. You just avoid that, right? She's a feminist. Okay, guys, just run. Modern feminism is just satanic. It's evil. There's really no way about it. And it's, you know, you might have, I've met many women who are like, oh, you know, and they quote me the definition of feminism, and they're like, I just believe that feminism is all about women's rights. And really that's just the you know, that's the veil. That's the tip of the iceberg. Like, yeah, at its most distilled, basic definition, feminism is about female rights. But what really goes on underneath the surface, what really goes on in reality, in real life, is that it's a hate group. It's a female supremacist cult. They hate men. They're all about, immorality. They're all about uplifting immorality and disguising it as like freedom and empowerment. They use these words like empowerment and crap. It is absolute just insidious evil. There, I've said it before and I'll say it again, that feminism, modern feminism, is probably one of the top 5 worst things to happen to humans, outside of war, famine, nuclear bombs, just death in general. Like it's so sick. It's pro-abortion. 500,000 abortions per year in the United States alone. I mean, that's murder. You're killing your children. I mean, imagine the kind of bereft morality and have no sense of right and wrong, no sense of righteousness to kill your own child. It's sick. You have no conscience. You have no self love or self-care. Like it's absolutely been, and a lot of it is lies. They lie to you and say, oh, it's not a child, oh, it's, so a lot of the reason people like, oh, it's, you don't have to feel bad about it, but yet many women do, and they don't talk about it. Many women feel a sense of remorse, deep sense of remorse, and they have to cover that up with more promiscuity or drugs or some kind of mental gymnastics, which causes like cluster B personalities, causes bipolar. A lot of these women out here are walking around in denial. They're mentally ill because they have to like lie to themselves and manipulate their own conscience to be as immoral as they are. Imagine killing your own child. Like, what kind of sickness, how sick do you have to be to do that, right? You have to when people have a baby. I remember a woman lied to me about 10 years ago, a girl that I was dating. She lied to me and said that she was pregnant, and I remember she didn't have the baby. She wasn't showing. She wasn't, her belly wasn't getting big like she had a baby in there. She lied and said she did because I was going to break up with her, and she lied to me and said that she was going to have the baby. And all she had to do was tell me she had a baby, and something within me, because I believed her, I thought she was pregnant, I believed her, something within me, there was like a switch that flipped, and I was like, wow, I'm going to be a father. And there was just something that rose up in me, and I was like, all of a sudden I cared about this baby. All of a sudden, and there was no baby. I cared about something that wasn't there, but because I thought it was there. And it wasn't, it probably was a embryo at that point. It wasn't even a fetus. It wasn't even growing, because, she claimed that she just found out or whatever. But because, within a couple weeks after it happens, after conception, so she claimed that blah, 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 right? But all she had to do was tell me, and something within me rose up. So you can't tell me that that's not, and I'm not even a female. It's not my body. It's not, within me, so like imagine how much nurture, and women are typically supposed to be more nurturing than men, although oftentimes I question that. I think it can be the exact opposite. But something within me rose up, and I was like, wow, I'm going to be a father, and I just had this love in me for this thing. I guess you could say as love. It was a kind of, I wanted to protect it. I wanted to provide for it. That's just how I felt, and it was like immediate. It's just like this switch flipped in me, and I've never felt anything like that before. So how could a woman, if it's in her body, if she's supposed to be more nurturing, blah blah blah, how could she kill her baby and not feel bad about it, right? So abortion is going to be detrimental, tremendously detrimental on the mentality of a young woman, right? And so you do that. Well, how does that affect your health? How does that affect, your personality? How does that affect your attitude? You're probably dead inside. And even sleeping around, promiscuity, you're dead inside because you're just numb to any kind of normal love feelings or joy that you feel around another person. You're numb to that. joy that you would feel around your boyfriend or girlfriend, because you've been with so many guys. And then it becomes calculating at that point. It's calculating all of a sudden, like, well, I've got to, think of my future and what's this guy going to offer me, and then it becomes like you're shopping for a boyfriend, you're shopping for a husband. And this is how much abundance, sexual abundance and relationship abundance that women have, is that they're not just looking for love, or simply going into a relationship hoping for the best. They're shopping. And I read a quote, and let me see if I can remember who said it. Yeah, I can't remember who said it, but there's a quote that says, men fall in love, something like men fall in love, women fall into a business, or men are looking for love, women are, it goes, men are in love, women are in business. Men are in love, women are in business. And I can't remember who said that. You can Google it. Men are in love, women are in business. And that's true. Women are out here manipulating. Women are out here sizing men up for what they can do for them financially, particularly. And I would argue that it's a part of their nature, hypergamy. I really would, and I always have maintained that. Even if she's a virgin, she's still hypergamous. Even if she's pure and traditional and chaste, etc., she's still going to be hypergamous. That's in a female's nature, to weed out weak men, weed out men who can't provide, weed out men who are this, that, and the third, not up to snuff, looks, money, status. I've always maintained that. I've always believed that's in their biology, whether they're a virgin and the most chaste, it's part of it. Now, I do think there is such a thing as blind love. I do think there is such a thing as true love, hypothetically, quote unquote, but is it realistic? How often does it happen? It's very rare. That's my experience. Yes, maybe it exists. I wouldn't venture to say it doesn't ever happen. I've seen it a few times, but it's very, very rare. Most women are calculating. Most women are in business. They're trying to find what they want in a man, and they all have checklists. I want this, and this. It does happen where they look the other way, but a lot of times it's not until after they hit the wall. It's not until after they've given up on themselves and they have low self-esteem, they're overweight or whatever, and then all of a sudden magically, after they've hit the wall, they're 35. Then all of a sudden, oh yes, I just want a guy for love. But before that, they had all this checklist. Before that, they were chasing the bad boys. Before that, they had all these high standards. Their hypergamy was rampant. But then once they get clapped out, once they bottomed out in their immoral exploits, and they've been used and tossed aside by most men, most chads, then all of a sudden they want true love. Then all of a sudden, oh, I don't care about anything, I just want the guy, But usually it's still like, oh, well, he still needs to have a job, he still needs to be basic and have money and pay rent, but that's normal. Like everybody, you know what I mean? That's, everybody's supposed to do that. So but it's basic, right? She's still not, she's not going to be with no broke guy, period. It's still bottom line hypergamy. But my point is that after a while, if she's been so promiscuous, is that she becomes calculating. That part of her which possibly could have loved somebody, which possibly could have, she had true love, all of a sudden she becomes calculating, because it's like, well, all guys want to sleep with me, so now I've got to play this game where I'm going to use sex as a lure, and I'm going to be calculating to get what I want from a guy. How can I trap a guy into loving me? Which is horrible. You don't trap a guy into loving you. I mean, I could just go on and on about this, but you don't use sex to get a relationship. You don't use sex to get a husband, but women do, and it's sad. And this is why you have so many relationships out here that are not working, so many marriages that are not working, so many unhappy, loveless, lack of intimacy marriages and relationships, because women are using sex and men are stupidly getting sucked into a relationship for sex. There has to be something more. You have to have something deeper. You have to have that deeper love bond. Yes, sex is a big part of it, but if sex was like the lure that you use to get a guy, then that's kind of, once that goes away, once that gets boring or whatever, what's left after that? right? Once the sex gets boring, then what's left? All right, so I could keep talking, but I'm going to continue to go on this list because I haven't really uh, gone too far into it. So she's a feminist, horrible. Run. Is a single mom. I mean, that's just, I've talked a million times about that. That's just an obvious. You don't want a woman with a kid. You don't want a woman who unfortunately has some other dude's genetics that she's towing around. It's just sad, and it's like, yeah, you want that kid to have a father. You want that woman to hopefully get some redemption, but not you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think you should I think that's for the desperate guys, that's for the extremely lonely guys, that's for the weaker men who can't get anything. Maybe you need to try to be a single parent so you can actually have someone in your life. But for the guys who have options, it's just obviously a no-go. It's a turnoff. You wouldn't want a single mom. It's like, why would I want to have the headache of raising some other dude's kids when I want my own kids, or I don't want kids at all, or like, it just doesn't make sense. Whether you want kids or you love kids or you have your own kids or whatever, or you don't want kids, I should say, not have your own kids, but you know, you don't want kids. It's just dumb. You don't want to be with a single mom. It's sad. It's sad that it happened. Most of the time, it's because of promiscuity. Occasionally, it's because there's been a bad relationship or the marriage didn't work out. I don't know, maybe a little more often than occasionally, but for the most part, usually it's from promiscuity, right? So that's a turn off. It's a red flag. Walk away. She talks like a wannabe gang member. I mean, that's just obvious. She's dumb. She's not intelligent. She's listened to too much rap in her life. She thinks she's you know, in the hood when she's not. She thinks she's a thug when she's not. And maybe some of these women out here are raised around real thugs, or are from, you know, poverty, hood areas and things like that. But that doesn't mean you should want to be with that. Get an education, read a book. You know what I mean? Get out of that scenario. As a man, you want to vet that. You don't want a woman who's talking all thuggy and that's a huge red flag. I mean, it's just, she's probably going to lie to you. She's probably going to do some dirt. She's probably going to cheat. There's just so much that goes along with that. I mean, you know, people don't want to be hood. People don't want to be thugs and in gangs. There's music out there that glorifies it, but it's dumb, and it's like, you know, I grew up on rap, and so I get it. I understand there's an allure there. There's a you know, it's attractive in a certain light, but it's a trap. It's evil. It's just dumb. You do dumb stuff. It glorifies all the wrong behavior, and it started in the 1990s. It started in the early 90s. There was a concerted conspiracy to come together and put out crap so that people would listen and go to jail, because there's something called prison for profit system. Google it. It means that when people get sent to private prisons, and they have to go to work, and they're slaves, and they don't get paid. They get paid like 10 cents an hour, and the prison gets all the money, and they work with these companies, and it's a racket. It's modern day slavery. It's called prison for profit system. Look it up. And in the early 90s, these rap music executives got together, and they put out this concept that they were going to start putting out gangster rap music in order to corrupt the youth. And it's called The Secret Meeting That Changed Hip Hop Forever. Google it. It's called The Secret Meeting That Changed Hip Hop Forever. Type that in your search bar, and you'll learn why rap is bad and why it's so bad today, and it influences people to do horrible things. So why would you want to date a woman who thinks drugs are cool, or who thinks selling drugs and being a gang member, or being like a drug dealer or like a big boss rapper is a cool lifestyle? That's the dumbest thing ever. You're just going to go to jail, or you're going to get hooked on drugs, or you're just going to walk around thinking you're cooler than you are. You're going to walk around thinking you're some thug and you're really not. Particularly when it's like a white girl, and it's like, I mean, yeah, like obviously we don't want to be racist here, but like anybody, even a black girl, I would be turned off. Any Asian, it's a turn off. I don't want a girl who thinks she's a thug. Does she have a gun? Is she going to sell drugs? Is she going to do drugs? You know what I mean? It's just stupid. It's a dumb, and I get it. I grew up on the rap culture. It's part of me, but at the same time, like you got to grow up. You got to become an adult. You got to put stuff that are childish behind you. You got to put things that are criminal to the side. You can't be related in that as an adult. You can't act like that. It's fun to get high, you know, and think you're a thug when you're cool, or you know, think you're cool, a thug when you're young. but when you get older, you're like, I can't be like that. And so it's just a turnoff. It could be a phase in her life or whatever, but you don't want to be with a woman who's like that. So she thinks she doesn't want to be gang member. She talks like a thug, talks like a rapper or something. Like, no, that's not attractive. As a high value man, you want to leave a woman like that in the dust. Okay, she's not intelligent or unique. She just skates by life on her looks. She's not intelligent or unique. She just skates by life on her looks. This is most women. Most women are like this. Unfortunately, they don't have to develop any personality. They don't have to develop any what's the word I'm looking for? Humor. They don't have to be comedic in any way, right? Guys do. We have to develop jokes. We have to figure out a way to make people laugh. We have to tell stories. We have to, have savoir faire, confidence, bravado. I don't like the word bravado, but we have to, make people warm up to us. We have to have a personality. Women demand that. So why don't men demand that from women? It's more attractive to me if a woman has a personality. Now, I said earlier about being peaceful and quiet. Yes, I do think that's attractive as well. I would prefer a woman who is intelligent, peaceful, quiet, harmonious. That's beautiful. And a lot of it is like, you look at, this is why guys are going to the East. This is why guys are going to the Philippines. This is why guys are going to Malaysia and Indonesia, etc., looking for women, because it's a culture there for the women to be moderate, for the women to be peaceful for the most part. Now, yes, there's a lot of slums and rundown, all kinds of badness is everywhere, right? Evil is everywhere. But I'm not saying there's any Shangri-La place on earth. But, in the East, it's kind of a culture to be moderate, to be, for a woman to be seen and not heard, for a woman to be, what's the word? Classy, and a lot of that is quietness. However, I like a woman with a personality. I like a woman who is funny, is smart, who, is comedic and has humor. It's rare, but I've been around a few in my life, and it's more attractive to me. It's very interesting. But I like them both, and either one could potentially work. It's just that women who have good personalities and who are intelligent and funny and humorous, they're more rare, right? They're just more rare. So, if she's not intelligent or unique, she doesn't have any unique talents. It's actually kind of cool if a woman has a talent. Like there's these women out here who like do arrow shooting or not crossbow, but bow and arrow shooting. Target shooting or something like that, or even like dancing. Classical dance, or even maybe acting, or some, she has a talent. It's interesting. It gives her more depth. It gives her more uniqueness, and she's not just skating by on her looks, right? It's a red flag for a woman to just skate by on her looks, right? And this kind of plays into the next one, which is she has a happy-go-lucky attitude. Most women are like this because they don't have to try in life. They're just whatever comes, whatever. They have no direction in life. They're not, necessarily. They don't have any goals. They're not working towards anything. They're just very laissez-faire with everything. Excuse me. They're just very, happy-go-lucky, right? It's seemingly not bad, and you don't want somebody who's so ambitious and so stressed out about life that they don't have time to enjoy life. There's something to be said for just enjoying life and living and taking it as it comes. Yes. But that doesn't mean you have no goals. It doesn't mean you're not like working out. It doesn't mean you're not like taking care of your family, or you just become lazy. So I guess you could say a lot of it is laziness. So she's lazy. She has a happy-go-lucky attitude, meaning she's just lazy, right? And a lot of it is because she takes everything for granted. It's this kind of young girl attitude, like, well, life's great. Everybody wants to have sex with me. I don't have to worry about, I think a lot of women look at guys and they're like, damn, I'm so glad I'm not a guy, because guys have to work so hard to get a woman. I don't have to work hard to do anything. Everything's handed to me. I get free drinks, I get free boyfriends, I get free sex anytime I want. I get free everything, and if I want, I can just go make a bunch of money selling my body. And they just have this cockiness about that, just happy-go-lucky, like, oh well, but it depends. That's a trap in and of itself. I mean, they might think that for a while, but then a lot of these girls out here, who have OnlyFans and who are working girls in the adult industry or whatever, a lot of them are broke. And they're struggling, and they're like, dang, I'm selling my body. I'm on the cam girl sites. I got OnlyFans, whatever. I'm a stripper or whatever. Well, actually, strippers probably make a lot of money, but actually, not every girl can be a stripper, because it's actually anyway, the bar standard's pretty high to be a stripper, because you got to be extremely hot as well as athletic and be able to dance. And strippers a crazy unique profession, and it's very immoral, but it's crazy. So the average girl can't even be a stripper, can't make money as being a stripper. So they try to do OnlyFans, they try to manipulate guys, and it's a vapid life, and it's sad, and it's because I mean, they're selling themselves, and they have to do, and they think that, oh, I'm a working girl or whatever. So a lot of the happy-go-lucky, lazy attitude is for young girls who got rich parents, or young girls whose parents take care of them or whatever, and they just go out and they just sleep around and go to the beach and have fun, and like go get boba tea or whatever they call boba tea, or go get pho, or I kind of know how to say that, but like go to all these, they just live this really easy life. Like, that's a turnoff. That because she has no goals. She's not going to be, everything to her is the same, right? Everything to her is the same. She's not going to treat you right. She's going to be selfish. She's going to be, everything is just like, oh well, it's all good because my parents got me, or I'll just get married someday and everything will be fine. I don't have to worry. She doesn't read. She doesn't make herself. It goes back to them not being intelligent or unique, right? So you want to watch out for that. Okay, she wears too much makeup and puts on so much lotion that she looks sticky and gross. Like, seriously, what's up with this? Like, you see these girls out here with like these long eyelashes, and it's like they got grease on their eyes. That's like they're wearing motor oil on their eyelashes. She wears too much makeup. Like, it's a dead giveaway. Like, if you wear a ton of makeup, like, you're probably not even as attractive as you like. A lot of these before and after of when they wear makeup and when they don't is like night and day, and it's crazy. It's just to see most women wear at least a little makeup, like foundation or something, and wear a little makeup. But honestly, if you see the before and afters of women who do and don't wear makeup, it's like crazy. It's night and day. It's like a different person, right? Seriously, it's like a different person, and it's nuts. And I would say, find a woman who's attractive without makeup. If you can find a woman who's attractive without makeup, like, that's very attractive. That's an actually attractive woman. A lot of women like go from being like a 4 out of 10 to a 7 or 8 out of 10 with makeup. It is that drastic. It's crazy, right? And then they wear this lotion, like, you put on this lotion and it's like it just makes them look sticky. I don't know what it is. It's like this glossy lotion, and it's like, it's gross. I don't know. It's just gross to me. Okay, she doesn't hit the gym, but dresses slutty. Your body is not as hot as you think it is. A lot of women out here think that just because they got a big ass doesn't mean they have to have a toned ass, and there's a difference. And a lot of women are just fat. Believe it or not, a lot of women are just fat, and their body is not as hot as they think it is. A lot of women do really think that, like, oh yeah, I'm super hot, but like, you're really not. You're not as hot as you think, as you could be if you actually hit the gym, right? Girls got to hit the gym, but I try not to say that too much, because I like women to bury themselves. Like, if you're lazy, like, a lot of women hit the gym just so they can get something. It's like, I would like a woman who hits the gym because, like, she's self-motivated. Like, I want to be a in shape, healthy person for the rest of my life. Like, that's the type of woman that I would want to be with. Not a woman who's like, oh, I'm in the gym so I can get a nice ass, so I can be a porn star or something, or so I can, get guys to buy me drinks. So, like, it's just like, it's another form of manipulation. But okay, she's overweight, speaks for itself. No impulse control, no discipline, poor character. If she's overweight, she's gonna have a bad attitude. She's gonna not have any morals. If she, a lot of times, if she, I'm not saying that's a direct correlation, like, oh, if she's overweight, she's definitely not gonna have morals. Like that's obviously a false equivalency. But for the most part, if you can't control your eating, if you're not smart enough and disciplined enough to not be overweight, you're probably going to have bad relationships. You're probably also going to not be able to maintain a quality, loving relationship, because you can't even keep your calories in check. You can't even go to the gym and be in good shape. It's just, it leads to that. It's kind of like, when women look at guys who are broke, or who don't have money, or who are undisciplined, or who are lazy and play a lot of video games. Like a lot of the reason why they're turned off and unattracted to that type of guy is because there's nothing like loyal about that guy. He's just selfish, or he's not going to be a good boyfriend. He's not going to be a good father. You look at a woman who's overweight, she's not going to be a good mother. And a lot of times I've met overweight women, and they're moody, they got mood swings, they got bad attitude, they get angry a lot. Your diet affects your moods, it affects your personality, it affects how you react to things, it affects how you treat other people. And so if you're overweight, speaks for itself. It's not attractive, it's not hot, it's a turn off, it's a red flag. Okay. She acts like she's accomplished something just because guys want to sleep with her. This is a big one, right? This is a big one. And I gotta hurry up and get because I'm only halfway through this list, and it's already a long video. But I gotta hurry, and I think my phone's about to die anyways. Actually, I should probably plug in, because I think the battery on my phone's about to die. I think I'm gonna plug this in real quick. Give me a second. If you listen this far, you're a boss. You're a champ. Okay. So let's see. Overweight. She acts like she's accomplished something just because guys want to sleep with her. This is a big one. This is a real big one. She acts like she's accomplished something just because guys want to sleep with her. That's solipsism. That is like, oh, I'm a woman, guys want to sleep with me, I've got it made kind of attitude. It's just such a turn off. Like, and a lot of women, I've said this before, they walk around with a sense of an undeserved sense of self-accomplishment, like they've done something great, but they're really just happy because guys want to sleep with them, right? Okay, so, and this kind of plays into the second one, which is that she has that smirky confidence because she knows men want to sleep with her. It ruins their personality and often stunts their personal growth. Other guys have said this, but like, when the year and the age that a woman knows that she can get whatever she wants with sex, she stops developing as a person. She stops growing in her maturity. She stops growing in her character. And usually it's around 15, 16, 17, 18. They start to realize that, oh, all men want to sleep with me. I don't have to do anything. I don't, and it's weird how that works. Maybe it's our biology, because guys are like, oh, I got to develop. I've got to do something. I've got to find purpose. I've got to have a character. I've got to, learn how to be disciplined. I've got to learn how to work hard. I've got to learn how to overcome obstacles. I got to learn how to be intelligent and wise and make the right decisions at the right times, etc., etc. Guys have to develop and grow in this way, because a lot of it, if we don't, it means we won't, get a family or get love or get even our sex drive, right? But if women get sex offered to them just for existing, they don't have to grow, they don't have to become anything in life, they don't have to achieve anything, they're just stunted. It stunts their personal growth, right? So they walk around with this undeserved sense of self-accomplishment, and it always comes across as like this smirky cockiness, like, oh, guys want to have sex. And you can just tell this young girl, yeah, everybody wants to have sex with you now. But in 10, 20 years, it's going to be a completely different story. And then you got, 30, 40, 50 years, if you're lucky, after that. By the time you hit 30, 40, you're going down. Your value on the sexual market is going to drop. And eventually, it's not going to be there. But what else do you have in life? And even if it's there for the rest of your life, don't you think there's other things in life besides just laying on your back? I mean, you can't just sleep around forever, right? So you got to have something else developed. So yeah, it's a thing that a lot of young girls have, and then it's also like women in general assume it. They assume that everybody wants to sleep with me. They assume that, so it's just kind of this smirky sense of, undeserved sense of self self-accomplishment. Just because people want to have sex with you, it's doesn't make you cool. It doesn't make you like accomplished. It's just something that you didn't earn, you know. And to me, it's a turnoff. And I think that guys should look out for that. Like, is she have this, you know, kind of arrogance because everybody wants to sleep with her? Like, that's a red flag. Watch out for that. You know, she doesn't know her own. I don't know if limits is the right word, but guys, we're always tested and we fail a lot, right? And because we fail so much, we're just more real. We live in more of a reality than women because we fail so much. We it's part and parcel of being a man is failing, trying something and failing, or this not working, and it helps you to grow. Failure helps you to grow. It helps you to succeed. Believe it or not, without failure, there would be no success. It's a weird dichotomy. It's a weird paradox, is that you need failure to have success. And a lot of times when women just get everything they want, they don't have that reality of failing. They don't know what it's like when everything's on the line. And this is what makes men, is that we have that pressure. We shoulder that burden of pressure, and women don't have to. And a lot of times they actively avoid any kind of pressure because they don't want to fail, or because they don't like that. It doesn't feel good. And this goes back to psychology. There's like this psychology of, like, I forget what it's called. There's a term for it, but it's you know, the pursuit of pleasure, or the pursuit of, you know, hard, you know, people do people pursue pleasure, or do people pursue leisure? You know, most people prefer the leisure. You know, as the rat go, you know, you have these tests with rats, and you send them, like, you know, they're trying to get the cheese, but they get shocked, and then eventually they stop even trying to go for the cheese, because every time they go for the cheese, they get shocked. It's like this mental thing, right? And it's like, what makes a man is men have to go through that constant pain of rejection, or constant, you know, fear of failure, or constant pressure with all these burdens. It's part of life, you know, and to whatever degree. And most people, I think, probably try to avoid it, men and women, really. But a lot of times men can't avoid that pressure. They can't avoid the what ifs. And so there's always that lingering in the background of, like, I could fail and everything could stop and it's all on my shoulders. Whereas with a woman, it's like, well, I could always fall back on a man. I could always just go get married to some guy who will take care of me financially. I could always, you know, go do porn. I could always sell my body. I could always, you know, they have options that men don't. And because of that, they walk around like, oh yeah, it's all good. Everything's fine. All I got to do is, you know, and in some senses, in that sense, I respect modern feminism in a way, because at least modern feminism tells women, well, like, go work hard and get a career. At least some women do. At least a lot of women do nowadays. And it's like, I respect that in a certain light. I'm not one of these guys who are like, oh, I hate that women are working. I hate they're getting college degrees. It's like, no, I'm for education. I'm for women being intelligent and having careers if that's what they want to do. I'm not going to hate on that. But at the same time, like, you know, I mean, there's a lot that comes along with that, like the two-parent house, or the two-income household. You know, modern feminism absolutely created that, and it's sad that men can't go provide for a family on one income, really, you know, as much as they used to be able to. And it's very sad that modern feminism, you know, women joining the workforce did all that, and inflation and the wage problem, not wage gap, but the wage, you know, the low wages problem in general, the minimum wage, etc. You know, the low wages is a problem with women joining the workforce. It's all there. You can look it up. But anyway, so yeah, if she's got nothing to offer besides sex, then she kind of walks around with this sense of you know, undeserved self-accomplishment. The next one is, she secretly looks down on men because they want to sleep with her. Low key, she's a misandrist and thinks all men are dumb and only live to suit her purpose in life, whatever that may be, whether it's drinks, whether it's sex, whether it's relationships, whether it's buy me a car, pay my rent, whatever. Like, women are using sex, a lot of it, and they look down on men because of that, because it's really because of the simps. The simps are creating that scenario. The simps are creating a scenario where women you know, use us. Women look down on us, and it's because, you know, they're paying for sex. They're pedestalizing, you know, feminine attractiveness, feminine beauty. They're idolizing sex. They're idolizing women, and women literally become sex objects for profit. and it's a form of prostitution, right? So and a lot of women hate men because of that. They deep down they despise that men are so base and degenerate that they can manipulate men to get money, or just literally sell themselves, whether it's OnlyFans or porn or actual prostitution, maybe in some cases, or stripping or whatever it may be. These type of women, deep down, they really hate men, right? And so when you say, she secretly looks down on men, she's a misandrist, it's because they hate that men are so easy. They hate that men are so there's a lot of dumb men out there. There's a lot of simpy guys who don't demand anything more from a woman than to be attractive and have sex with them. And it's like, this is why I have these lists, because it's like this a quality man is going to look for something more than just sex, right? And so a lot of women just look down on men because of that. And yeah, it's way more common than anyone realizes, and it comes across as solipsistic arrogance. A lot of women out here really do think men are just cavemen. They think men are just dogs who just want to have sex. And it's actually, I mean, there's definitely an argument to be made by women for this, but it's also, to some degree, to a large degree, they're not being broad-minded. They're actually that they themselves are consumed with sex and preoccupied with using sex to get what they want. And so it's kind of this snowball effect or kind of black hole of immorality that's really kind of self-fulfilled prophecy. Or she goes out and she dresses sexy so she can get attention, and then she gets disgusted by the attention that she gets, and she thinks all men want is sex when that's all she's really offering, right? So if she, the truth is, a lot of these women who look down on men because men want to sleep with her, a lot of these women, that's all they have to offer is sex. They don't have anything else to offer. So that's a big truth about that. Okay, so keep going on. She has a bunch of guy friends, and she thinks she's one of the guys. I mean, these type of girls are homie hoppers. They're sleeping around with guys low key behind the scenes. It's a red flag when a girl's a tomboy, when she acts like a guy, because a lot of times, she's just banging guys behind the scenes. She's banging the friends that she hangs out with, and that's just a red flag. That's a turn off. You don't want a woman who's got a bunch of guy friends, because all those guys want to sleep with her, and she knows it deep down, and she's manipulating them for whatever benefits she thinks she's getting from them, and whether it's attention or help with things, or she just uses them for validation or whatever. Like, it's a bad red flag if she's got a lot of guy friends, or she thinks she's one of the guys. Like, no. It's just that's the type of girl who's a manipulator, and you want to avoid. She thinks she's funny when she's really just kind of cringy, goofy, and uncalibrated socially. A lot of women think that, and a lot of this is because they're just treated like celebrities, because people want to have sex with them and they're attractive, and so they kind of try to parlay that into being funny, or to like try to be humorous, and they think they're funny. And this is why there's this long joke about like women are just not that funny, is because women have never had to adapt that way to be funny, because it's not a requirement for guys to date them or marry them, whereas a lot of times women want a funny guy. So guys have to like figure out how to be quippy, how to have funny one-liners, how to tell a joke, how to have stories that are funny. It's kind of part and parcel with being a man. A lot of it, a lot of the reason why a lot of guys today don't get anywhere with women is because they're not funny. Being cocky and funny is a hidden, I don't say hidden, but it's a secret. I don't know when you say secret, but I would say it's a it's a superpower. It really does help, and it really does work. But yeah, you got to be attractive physically as well, but that goes into the whole black pill thing. It was part of the red pill. It's true, looks, money, status. But anyway, okay, so yeah, when women try to be funny, it's not, it's just cringy. A lot of times. I'm not saying there's no funny women out there. There are, but they're rare. But there are. And I've definitely laughed at women in my life, in a positive way, not at them, but I've laughed at their jokes occasionally in my life, but it's not common. It's pretty rare. She goes to clubs. Everything about that is gross. Everything about that is a gigantic red flag. If there's a girl who's going to a club, she is so many different things. You could get into it, but probably she's, it's a dead giveaway that she's promiscuous. It's a dead giveaway that she's egotistical, narcissistic, self-centered, solipsistic. She wants people to look at her. I watched a video the other day of these women who were, I don't know if they were married, but they were in relationships, and they looked like streetwalkers. They had these dresses on and their asses were out, and they had all this makeup on, and the guy was asking them, it was like a street interview, and he was like, why are you guys at the club if you guys got guys at home? And they're like, all these dumb excuses like, oh, we just, we can't go out and have fun, or we can't go. It's like, no, you're going out because you want to be oogled. You're going out because you want to be looked at. It's an ego thing. It's to build up your self-confidence, your self-esteem, or whatever. And if you need that to build up your self-esteem, it speaks volumes about what type of person you are. If you need to go out to a club to be oogled by men so you can have a good self-esteem and feel good about yourself, it speaks so much about yourself. So if there's a girl who goes to clubs, no. Just no. Avoid at all costs. If you met her at a club, she's good for one thing, and that's it. And I'm not advising anybody to do that one thing. I'm just saying that's it. It's like 9 times out of 10, you're not going to meet a wonderful girl of your dreams at a club. Quality people don't go out to nightclubs. I mean, I'm not saying never, I've gone out to nightclub, I'm not saying that it never happens. I'm just saying if she regularly does, people who go out clubbing like it's a lifestyle, or like, oh yeah, I've done this a lot of my life, or this whole period, I like to do it sometimes, like, there's just nothing good can happen at a nightclub that much. I'm not saying nothing good never happens, but I'm like, for the most part, I'm saying for the most part, people just get drunk, people just get messed up, act stupid, hook up, do dumb things, have sex when they really shouldn't be having sex. It's there's a word that a lot of people might not understand. It's called dissolution. It's dissolution. It's degeneracy. Compare that with going to the library. Well, I'm going to the library to gain knowledge, to increase my intelligence, to learn more, to expand my worldview, to broaden my heart and my mind. That's what I go to the library for. Well, what do you go to a club for? To get drunk, to get messed up, to fornicate. Like what are you? It's like, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. If a woman goes to a bar or a club frequently, that's what type of woman she is. She's not a quality woman. It's just one of the most obvious red flags. It's just everything about it is gross. She has OnlyFans. It's pretty much the same thing. Degenerate, immoral, horrible, just dead giveaway. You don't want to ever be anywhere near that woman. Claims she's a boss, but really is just selling herself online wherever she can get clients. This is kind of a thing where, like, women are like, oh, I'm a boss and I'm making money, and and you're like, oh, well, how are you making the money? Oh, I got an OnlyFans, or I'm a stripper, or like, you're not a boss, you're a sex worker, you're a prostitute. Sorry, right? That's an obvious turnoff. It's an obvious red flag, right? Obvious. Drinks, smokes, or does drugs. So much no, like, just horrible. Stay away from anybody who drinks, smokes, or does drugs. For the most part, like, these vices are damaging, negative. You don't want to be around anybody who does those things. Period. Like, like, for the most part, I'm not saying you can't meet a quality person who might do those things, but for the most part, people who do that are on a downward spiral, going nowhere in life, and it just is what it is. It's just sad, and you don't want a woman who does that, because she'll mess your life up in one way or another. She'll lie to you, cheat, steal, whatever, etc. She'll hurt you in one way or another. Like, just, you don't need that negativity in your life. Do better. You know what I mean? Do better. She needs to do better. Everybody needs to do better, not do those things. It's sad. It's a sad part of life, but do better. Don't be around that, right? Okay, she looks old, but she's only like 25 or 30, which means she's been through many sausages. She's been through many guys. She's had a lot of relationships. She's had a lot of hookups and flings, right? She's like, oh, this woman's 25, but she looks 40, or this woman's 30, but she looks 50. Like, there's women out there who are like that, and they really have been through a lot. They've been through all kinds of emotional trauma, psychological trauma. They're probably cluster B personalities, maybe bipolar, deep depression, things like that. There's a lot of women out here who are living sad, dejected, sunken lifestyles, and at a young age. And by the time they reach 25, 30, whether it's drugs or whatever it is, alcohol or selling themselves or whatever it is, it ages you. Your skin looks bad. You don't take care of yourself. You don't eat a right diet. Even if you diet, gym, and exercise, there's something to be said for positive mindsets, positive ways of thinking, positive ways of being emotional, a positive lifestyle, a positive environment. If you're putting yourself in any kind of negativity through bad relationships or promiscuity or selling yourself or drugs or whatever, it ages you. It ages you. So you can tell if a woman has had a bad life. You can tell a lot about her character, etc. If she's had a lot of like toxic, stress from like bad relationships or doing drugs or poverty background. I'm not discriminating against poor people, because some people can't help. A lot of people can't help that. But unfortunately, like, a lot comes along with that. A lot comes along with that type of negative lifestyle. Such, people they tend to be more angry. They tend to have more mood swings. They tend to have more mental illness. They tend to have more manipulative behaviors, lying behaviors, etc. You want to stay away from a woman who's young but looks old, right? She's 25 or 30 and she looks haggard. She probably was a smoker, and there's so much that you can do to mess your body up and mess yourself. And a lot of people can't handle it. Some people, they can do drugs and alcohol and still look kind of young, and some people can just handle it for some reason. Some people's bodies and their constitution is just, very strong. But a lot of people, it just messes them up. They look bad, and stress is a killer too. And life can be stressful in general. Life can be stressful. But it to me, it's a red flag and it's a turn off, because it's just like, you got to take care of yourself. You want someone who's pure. You want someone who's intelligent enough and disciplined enough to drink the right water, eat the right foods, stay away from drugs and alcohol and cigarettes and smoke and toxins and things that, study, become, a uncertified nutritionist for yourself. Read books on nutrition, read books on how to be healthy, read books on how to keep yourself sane mentally, in good emotional health, etc. Like, learn how to do that so where it doesn't age you. Life is short, but it can take its toll on people if you're not careful, if you don't know how to prevent, use preventative medicine, avoid toxins, etc. And a lot of it is because, like I said, been through many sausages. A lot of women, they go through these bad relationships, or they go through long relationships. They're drawn out and emotional and stressful and da-da-da. And then by the time they hit 25 and 30, it's like they've been through war or something, or they've been through, like, they've lived like 3 lives in 10 years or something. And it's like because they had a toxic relationship, or they had all these bad relationships, or they were chasing bad boys and it messed their emotions up. This is why I always say it's hard for women to sleep around, because their emotions are involved. Their emotion, and you have to turn off your emotions in order to even be able to do that successfully. And then what type of person are you? Somebody who avoids real emotions. You're somebody who avoids real feelings and things like that. You don't want to be like that. But a lot of times that people can't, particularly women, because they're emotionally attached to sex. They're emotionally attached to these relationships. And so whereas guys tend to be a little bit more aloof, or guys tend to be a little bit more psychological, guys get messed up psychologically, women get messed up emotionally. Both are bad, but I would say emotionally was worse. So you want to not be in so many relationships. You want to have, this is part and parcel why having a low body count is important, because she got a high body count. She's been through a lot of guys. Not only is it gross and disgusting, but also it stresses her out. Her neurotransmitters are not right. Her the things that are her dopamine, her norepinephrine, her serotonin. These chemicals in your brain, they're supposed to release when you're with somebody. Oxytocin, I think, is the love chemical or whatever that helps you pair bond. Those things are not going to be there if you've been through a bunch of relationships before. That's when women start, like I said earlier, how women start just calculating. They start to go shopping for men. Men fall in love, women fall in business. Men are in love, women are in business, right? So you don't want somebody who's young and looks old, because it's a red flag. It's a turnoff. It's even if they've been through a lot in life, like, I'm sorry for you, but like, you don't want to be with that person. You want somebody who looks young, who's youthful, who's got a positive attitude, who's got good emotions. This is what's going to help you live that's going to be a quality partner. Who's going to help you live a quality life. Who's going to be a high quality person, just like you should be as well. You should be the same way. You shouldn't look old. We all should look young. There's vitamins. There's supplements. There's fruit, vegetables, good. God has given us great things that we can avail ourselves of to help us be healthy and look young. So if you look older at actually a lot of Eastern medicines figure this out. A lot of Asian people figured this out. Like, you gotta take the necessary nutritional environment steps to stay young, and it's hard. I know it's hard because I've been doing it, but I know it's hard. So, but something to look out for. All right. The next one is she thinks she understands men, but really has no freaking idea. And this is where a lot of these red pill grifter women come in, and they throw in their hat to the red pill manosphere jargon, and they try to, a lot of them are just grifters and profiteers, but a lot of women out there think they get it. They're like, oh yeah, I understand men, or even they think like, oh well, men are hard to understand. All you got to do is give them sex and give them a sandwich, and it's like, oh yeah, that's all men need is sex and a sandwich. I mean, that's a start. That's nice. I guess it's a prelude to peace, right? It's a prelude to harmony. Maybe it's like, okay, well, yeah, take that sex away, take away a man's hunger. But then what else? Comes after that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's all. Men are just like dogs, and we're just so simple. I mean, just sex and food. It's like, yeah, those are basic necessities, and that makes life nicer and it's better. But you don't fully understand. I mean, men are deep. We've got desires, we've got ambitions, we've got, we need a life purpose. We need hobbies. There's so many, a lot of women out here, walking around, I get men, oh, they all just want sex, or I get men, they just, make me a sandwich and give me a BJ, and that's all I want. They're like, they think they get men, but it's like, there's a lot more to it, man. Life is, you got to work at life, man. Life is like a homework assignment. You got to work at it to pass the test. A lot of people, they just fail out. They just trail out, and it's like they just settle, and that's why a lot of people are in these like just mundane, non-exciting relationships, is because they don't want to try, or they don't want to learn anything new, or they're not ambitious, or they're not they don't take any risks, they don't take chances. And it's like, if you're living your life, and I'm not saying take negative risks or like high risks or something. I'm just saying, like, like learn something, read a book, like, expand your thought process, expand your concepts. People are so closed in that they think they know everything, and so it's like, if she thinks she understands you, she really has no freaking idea. Not only that, they don't understand what it's like to be men because they get everything handed to them. There's plenty of stories where like a woman, I don't want to say plenty, but there's a few out there, stories that where like a woman became a man for a month or became a man for a year, and then there's at least two I can think of where the woman just killed herself or committed suicide because it was so horrible and they felt so bad. That's a rarity. That's an extreme. But like, there's women out here who tested what it's like to be a man. Go on a dating site and post pose as a man, post as like an average man, and try to see how many women respond to you. And like, you realize how bad it is to be a man. You realize how much you don't get, as being whereas like a woman, they get everything, and you realize just how privileged modern women really are. So if you think you understand men, like, you really don't. Like, you're coming from a position of privilege, which is hilarious because they're always like, oh, well, white man, check your privilege. White man, you don't know. Like, you got all this privilege, and like, it's just projection. Like, that women are actually the ones who are the most privileged, and they think men are. It's weird. It's a weird psychological thing, but in reality, they don't understand men, and because they haven't lived our lives. They don't know how tough it is, and many of them just wouldn't last. They wouldn't last. She pretends to be an unassuming, shy girl next door type, but is really a closet covert narcissist who cheats and sleeps around. Way more out there than you think. Liars and cheaters. I mean, that's just, that's obvious. That's just like, women out here are pretending to be. I think I mentioned that before earlier, and they're just out here, playing a game, being subtle, manipulated in their own way, and you got to watch out for that too. Like, a lot of times you'll look at a girl and it's like, oh, she's so shy and she's nerdy, and like she's probably, maybe a virgin, or she's a femcel or something. Like, you don't realize, like, these are the biggest freaks, these are the biggest liars and manipulators out there. They're out there doing a lot more dirt behind the scenes than you realize, and that's what you really got to watch out for. Those the covert narcissists. They're the worst. And liars and cheaters, man. These are just all a turn off, like liars and cheaters. But unfortunately, these last three is like it's hard. It's hard to detect. You don't know. You don't know, and that's part of life where like, sometimes you just got to experience the experience the darkness, experience the bad times, and that teaches you a lot more about life, teaches you a lot more about female nature, teaches you a lot more about yourself, helps you grow probably more than anything. And that's something that you can't really prepare for because you don't know until it's too late. A lot of times is the liars and manipulators a lot of times. And so it's, unfortunately, I think this is why a lot of people just are so insulated, and they don't try to make new friends or take new chances or whatever. And what I would say is, instead of necessarily running away from life or running away from people, run away into God, run into God. That's what I did, and that's because it's like that's the best way. That's the best way. That's the best safeguard from all this, from everything negative in life, is just to give yourself to God and be close to God and follow God. Otherwise, you're just out here playing Russian roulette, taking chances, and you don't even know you're taking chances. Or life is a risk outside of God. And so I would just say the last ones you don't know. These last three you don't know. It's not an obvious turnoff. It's not an obvious red flag because they're covert. A covert narcissist, you can't tell they're a narcissist a lot of times until it's too late. They're very good at it. They're very, but there's clues. There's always red flags, and a lot of times you ignore the red flags because, I want the sex, or the sex was so good I just got to keep going, or you ignore the red flags a lot of times, or they're subtle and you see him and then you forget about him, and it's by that time it's too late because she's already got you, and it's like, you gotta always pay attention to the red flags, right? You gotta watch out for those. But anyway, I'm gonna end it there, guys. I appreciate you listening. It's been Jay Lee, Northwest Podcast. Peace.